I mean, the world will relate to us once we can relate to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think we're afraid of definitions and afraid to set guidelines because we might have to live by them. If you stand up and say a black woman should do this and that, then you might have to do that. But if you say, well, we don't have to say anything, you know, we can just do it. Do what?
She said a mouthful. Okay, but the first thing I wanted to actually touch on, ladies and gentlemen, was the fact that she was talking about the value system, one. But the other thing here that she was actually talking about here was essentially an example. She was talking about an example, you guys. And it's really important to have an example. What's going on, people? This is your boy Say One's History. You are watching A Male's Perspective. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be updated for all cool new content. Look, I'm not going to hold you guys. We're going to get straight into it today, okay? So, look, check this out. The word today, we going to go to Friday. The word today, you know, like he did the J-O-B. The word of today is example, you guys. And that word hit home for me today. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean and why that word actually hit so hard for me today. Everybody knows that I actually do a little Ubering on the side to make extra money or whatnot. So I'm literally riding to the airport today and I'm dropping this gentleman off. And as I dropped him off, I seen this van actually pull up, and out of the van, it actually comes the pilot. He had a captain's hat on, and I think there were like 3 or 4 other women and maybe 2 or 3 other men. And me being my nosy self, I actually pulled over on the side and, you know, kind of hollered at him and was like, hey man, you know, like, what are you guys doing? He was like, oh, you know, well, I'm the captain, you know, for such and such airlines. I don't want to talk about the airlines, put them on blast. But anyway, he was like, I'm the pilot of such and such airlines. And he was like, we had a layover in Sacramento. And I was like, you guys are not from Sacramento? He was like, no, we're not from Sacramento. He said, I think he was from Washington. And he was like, yeah, we're from Washington, but, you know, been to Sacramento a few times. I actually have a tight-knit group that I usually fly with, my attendants. We all know, you know, my servies. I forgot what the actual title of the man's name titles were. But he was like, yeah, we all kick it. So, you know, we had a 5-star hotel. He was like, on the job's dime. He said we get discounts, vouchers to go out and eat. We hanged out, you know, had a nice drink at a nice little restaurant or whatever, ate, and went and watched the Kings game or whatever last night. He's like, it was pretty cool. I said, wow. I was like, so how often do you do this? He was like, well, I'm, you know, recently divorced. He was like, so I'm just living the bachelor's life and enjoying myself. And if you can only imagine what that means, my mind is thinking. And I'm like, okay, he's having fun right now. And it just dawned on me. If men had that example, had something to see, had something to strive for, how many men would actually want that job? And as I'm driving off, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking more like, wow, you know, so many times we only get the information about how difficult it is to do something. We never get the inspiration or that thing that drives us to want to do things. The example. We rarely ever get that. And because of that, people are not inspired to attempt to do something that may actually set them up for the rest of their life. So as I'm driving, you guys, I'm thinking more and more about this word. I'm thinking more and more about this word example. And I said, well, what other categories does this fit in, just in life in general? And everything. It fits into everything. And as I was watching YouTube, as I'm driving, I know I'm telling on myself, but I'm listening, you guys. So as I'm listening, as I'm driving here, this old school panel came on of black women that were in the 60s, and they were just having a conversation, having just a typical conversation of what black women would be having conversations about in the 50s or the 60s. And it wasn't too different from let me stop lying. It was really different. But I think we've come so far or been led astray from what we were previously talking about, because we have no examples of that anymore. And it ties into this whole dynamic and this dichotomy of the male and female gender war and all this other stuff. And I want to show you I want to give you an example of what women dress like, talk like, the etiquette, how they, responded to each other versus this video that everyone is reacting to about K. Michelle talking about plastic surgery on Cam Newton's podcast. So I just wanted to give you some context of where I'm going with this, why I'm showing you all this stuff here, because the example, it hits home. The example makes us strive to do better. When I was in high school, I loved music. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to do that thing so bad. And back in the 90s, there were so many different kinds, different styles, different people, just everything. And it was so unique. And it inspired you to try to build something of your own, or to create something that would be popular or similar, but make it your own. Now, we don't have that anymore. It is literally just copy, paste, repeat. It is literally just copy, paste, repeat. Amen. So I want to show you, if we are going to copy and paste, let's at least copy and paste from something that was worthy of it.
We have to get rid of the illusions, we have to get rid of the poisons, we have to get rid of the lies, and one way to do that is expose it and dissect it.
Another way, if we create a new life, a new value system, and live it as an example.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
That would probably be the
That's
best
it.
way, because then people could see it as a living thing and not as a theory. Because what we need to do is to reestablish a new value system. That's what black people need.
Right,
a value
and how
system
exactly, and how do we go about that?
We go about it the way you go about daily work. First of all, you decide what you want. You establish your value system, you start to live it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people in your community, you start talking to your neighbors. You get yourself together first.
Exactly.
Then you get your community together.
So we're in agreement.
Then you get your neighborhood together.
We're in agreement.
Right. And then you can move on out. But in the beginning, you got to make sure you got yourself together.
Right.
Okay.
You have to start right here.
But I think we ought to be sure we understand what she's saying. Now, this relates to what you said earlier about the black nation, right?
Exactly.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by the black nation.
I mean, black people's lives, being self-determining, defining yourself, naming yourself, and having political power. We're a nation already without political power and military power. We're a cultural nation without political and military power. We're a nation, in captivity by another people, a people who have a totally different culture than we have, who cannot even relate to the things that we relate to. That is the problem. And as black women, We have to be the inspiration for the nation, for our men. We have to start out into the community educating the children, educating ourselves. Because once we educate ourselves, the children will become educated, because we are the ones that teach the children. We are the ones that decorate the homes. We are the ones that are with both female and male children. We are the ones that the children look to as the image in terms of their daily education. So it is important that we don't get our values mixed up and feel that we have to educate the world. We haven't first educated ourselves. It's still always a self thing.
Indeed.
I mean, the world will relate to us once we can relate to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we are afraid of definitions and afraid to set guidelines because we might have to live by them. If you stand up and say a black woman should do this and that, then you might have to do that. But if you say, well, we don't have to say anything, you know, we can just do it. Do what? So like everybody can do their own thing. But every society needs a value system. Every society has a criteria in which they live by.
Okay, so I want to stop it there because she said a mouthful. Okay, but the first thing I wanted to actually touch on, ladies and gentlemen, was the fact that she was talking about the value system, one. But the other thing here that she was actually talking about here was essentially an example. She was talking about an example, you guys. And it's really important to have an example. When I'm at work and I'm doing a job, and sometimes right before I'm about to do a job or work on a task, I might get really anxious, and it may hinder me from actually moving forward or may delay time for me to actually do that job. But what I do to actually make sure that I don't get overwhelmed by a particular project is I dissect it. I break it down. And that's what she's talking about. Because when you start to break stuff down and simplify it and actually turn it into little bitty pieces, that big job that you're so anxious about doesn't actually feel that scary anymore. And I wanted to lay that example out for you guys because I know a lot of people are like me. They feel like a lot of times that they can't do things, but that's so far from the truth. We can do so many things. And I think it's important to have these examples in your life. Like I think about Tupac, and Tupac didn't have a father. You know, I remember watching his interviews and he would talk about, my daddy wasn't there. So I learned from this person, I learned from that person, I learned from the hustlers, I learned from the gangsters. And he said, I would try this, I couldn't do it right. He said I would do this and I would realize I wasn't good at this. He said I didn't like the way this felt to me and all this other stuff. But he learned, and he was wise enough, he was intuitive to know that there were things that he had to take in and then throw away, things that he had to receive and then things that he had to discard. Okay, and that's what this woman is actually talking about here. You look at these women, and for the most part, other than I think one woman that I've seen on there, all these women are fit, feminine, and friendly. Okay, and I hate to I don't hate to use the late great Kevin Samuels montage. Fit, feminine, and friendly. Yes, they are wearing their own natural hair. If they are wearing makeup, very little to no makeup at all. And here's the thing, ladies. The reason why men want you to actually be it in your as close to your truest form as possible, because your true character is on display at that point. Confidence is good, but too much of anything can be a bad thing. Okay? Sometimes people will get overconfidence and then they become, I don't know, what's the word, ladies and gentlemen? What's the word out there? It's an ego thing. They become prideful. And when you become prideful, you start to feel like no one can tell you anything, okay? You start to feel like you're above reproach. And men, we generally don't receive that. We don't really have to deal with that because we get told all the time that we ain't shit. We get told all the time that we're fat. We get told all the time that we don't make a lot of money. We get told all the time to do this. We get told all the time that we need to be better, that we need to improve ourselves. Now, whether or not we actually choose to listen to it, we get told that. And what happens is we tend to stay level. Okay. But what happens with women, and this is not all women, but what happens with a good portion of women is they never get the opportunity to grow mentally and emotionally because they never have any type of growth because they don't want to receive any correction. They don't want to receive any correction. And I'm going somewhere with this, you guys, so just give me a moment. When people don't receive correction, they stay in an adolescent form. I'll give you another example. I was watching this is when I was a kid, and I go back to my father. and I know if my dad was alive right now, he'd be like, you see, I told you, boy. And shouts out to the dads too, man. I know we just had Father's Day a couple of days ago, man. And being a father and being a husband is such a thankless job, you guys. I mean, because the act in the mission objective for a father and a husband is to discipline and correct. It's to discipline and correct. We also want to show love too. But ultimately, our main objective is to discipline and correct so that we can move ahead in life, you know, so that we can move the family forward to get to a objective or a goal. And those things are never appreciated because nobody wants to be told that they're doing something wrong. Okay? Amen? But even though you don't want to be told that, you can be open to receiving it, especially if it's coming from someone that loves you, if it's coming from a place of love. This is another reason why I think that women should be under the cover of men, because women are not going to listen to any man on the street if a man tries to give them correction. And rightfully so. I don't think that you should listen to any man. That would be freaking ridiculous. You don't know what a man's like influence is or objective is. He might be trying to get into your pants. But you do want to listen to the man that loves you, the man that appreciates you, the man that has your best objective, or what's the word I'm looking for, who has the best for you in mind. If you would just be, as far as women, be willing to find a man that has your best intentions in mind, or the family, and actually take heed to what he's saying and respect him enough to really listen to what he's saying, because men need to be respected, women need attention and love. Okay. And it works that way because God made us that way. We are different beings. Obviously, men need to receive love. Obviously, women need to receive correction. And it goes both ways. But if we look at it from a chart, you know how one side of the chart is blue and one side of the chart is like red? Okay, we would be more on leaning on the red side. Women would be more leaning on the blue side. Whatever. I'm not judging the colors off man and women. It is what it is. Whatever. I'm just using it as an example, okay? But knowing that men have emotions, but we just don't have them like women, and knowing that women have logic and need respect, but they just don't have it to the same level as men, we can sit here and say, I can help you where you are deficient, and you can help me where I am deficient. Where the issue comes in at is if you reject the things that I have to offer, which is correction and discipline, because you're opposed to being told anything, I can't do anything with you. And furthermore, it shows me that you don't respect me. So, ladies, men are seeing this stuff, and what's happening now is we are just now going where we are appreciated. It is not about black and white. It is not about Asian or Latina, Dominican or Cuban. It is not about that. It is not about looks. It is not about money. It is about being around someone who respects and loves you and building together. I am not where I would like to be, and you are not where you would like to be. But if we work together, we can get there together. Okay, so particularly to the ladies, I'm going to lay this out, particularly to the women out there. All three of you that's listening. As a man that you've never met, as a man that you don't love, that you don't respect, that you have no admiration for, how would it make you feel if I came on this channel like I am right now and I said, this is great. She's talking, she know what women are good for, and she knew her place.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
No, I ain't rolling with that. Right. Okay. Because of the way I said it, for one. And then number two, which is probably the most important, is because it did not come from a person, a man particularly, that you respected and that you love. I say some things to my wife sometimes, and I have more patience, and I have an understanding of what it is that she is able to accept based on me knowing her. And if I look at her and I talk to her and I say, yeah, she knew her place, my wife will look at me and say, no, okay. And she won't say anything, because she knows that I don't have any ill will or any dominant intentions with what I'm saying. But because I'm still getting that from her, I will still explain. And this is where having a man that you respect, admire, and love comes in. Because I can talk to my wife and I can say, babe, this is what I mean by that. When we say that women know their place, or she knows what's going on or whatever, what he's essentially trying to say is that, or what I'm trying to say is that, we know that women naturally are nurturers. We know that you guys are the teachers that's in a child's life, that teaches them the emotions that they're going to have, teaches them some kind of education that they're going to have, teaches them their value systems, whether or not you're intentionally teaching them or whether it's just kind of an example. And there goes this word example again, because you're doing all these things and these kids are sucking all of this information into their brain. So we know you are the first line of defense, and you are the first line when it comes to, the kids growing up. So because of that, men are saying look, this woman knows her place. It's not to be in a disrespectful or antagonizing way. When we say that, we say, okay, like if my wife is trying to get a point across to me, okay, she may get upset. She may even like raise her voice every once in a while, but she knows that the receiver is going to be off. I'm just going to keep it real. The receiver is going to be off, and she knows that she's going to have to approach me in a different way. And when that happens, the receiver comes back on, and and we have a better understanding with each other. But for that to happen, this is going to sound bad. She has to know her position. She has to know her husband. She has to know the dynamics of our relationship. She has to know her role. It's not to be antagonizing. It's not to be disrespectful. But sometimes men don't have the words that best fit the way you want to be told sometimes. Okay? So if you're men are different, ladies, and I didn't start this channel to be an asshole to women. I really wanted to give women a foundation of how men see things, and also have a dialogue with you guys, the ones that want to be in a relationship and be married. Because I ask women all the time, and some of the women tell me, I don't want to be married. And that's a hard truth that a lot of men are going to have to accept, is that a good portion, I would even venture to say, the majority of women are not marriage material. And when I say not marriage material, here's another thing, because these are for women, and they go, what? It's not marriage material. This is what I say when women are ruled by their emotions. They hear things, and rather than receive them and actually listen to them for what it is, they go on an emotional tirade in their mind, and they get triggered. So when I say that a lot of women are not marriage minded, are not marriage material, I'm speaking directly to your desire to be able to do what you want for yourself. And most women will say, yeah, that's true. I do want to do what I want to do for myself. And the reality of that is not a marriage-minded woman. A marriage-minded woman is selfless. A marriage-minded woman is thinking about the kids, her husband, the family as a whole. And so is a man. So in this day and age that we live in, 2025, not a lot of women are marriage minded. So if men are actually traveling overseas like they are, it's because in their area, in their neighborhood, in their city, their relationship history, they're realizing that not a lot of women are marriage minded. And then on top of that, you actually have to find the marriage minded woman for you. So it becomes a really small pool. So that's all we're saying. But what I want to do before we actually end this, I want to actually get on this last video, and we're going to go to, let me see here. Here it is. Okay, we're going to go to K. Michelle on the Cam Newton podcast, and she's going to be talking about plastic surgery. So again, we jump from one example from the 60s to the example that we have now. So let's get into it, you guys. Without further ado, let's go.
Well, people to know most about plastic surgery. One, I'm not against plastic surgery. Do your research, do what you need to do, if that is for you. What I want them to know, no amount of plastic surgery is going to make you love yourself anymore. Mm-hmm. It's not going to make a man love you more, none of that. What I want them to know is that these people that you see with these, big asses, I had the hugest ass in life, and literally I could not walk. I could not, but People magazine said I had one of the best bodies, ever. That almost cost me my life. Some shit that didn't matter. Mm. What I do want women to know is to watch this trend of these big asses go to now everybody want a natural body. Once you put some ass shots into you, you will never be able to get them out of you. That is absolutely permanent. You can take out a breast implant, you can take out things like that, but once you inject silicone shots into your body, that is motor oil that forever live in your body. You can cut it out to an extent as to what you need to be, but it will always be in your body. This is a permanent decision for a temporary fix that is not going to fix you if your soul is not right. I want women to know, do what you want to do to enhance, and men. Enhance, but that isn't going to enhance you getting into heaven, and that's not going to enhance you when you wake up and look in the mirror every day.
Okay, so let's pause it there for a second. And I know you guys hate when I do that, but I got to speak on this. Okay, so first off, let's just start with the aesthetics. Okay, let's go from where we were back in the 1960s and 1950s, from the natural hair to the way they were dressing, the way they were speaking. Okay, that all screamed respect. It made me want to listen to what they had to say. Okay, this right here, it doesn't do anything for a man but the sex appeal. It had, like, I'm genuinely not listening for the most part to what she has to say. Okay, this is in, like, it's not even something that is thought about. It is just in the background. This is for play. This is for play. Like the makeup. And here's the thing, ladies. It is not the fact that she has gobs of makeup on and we think that she's ugly. Because I'm pretty sure K. Michelle, I'm pretty sure she's a very beautiful woman. I don't know much about her other than this video. I'm pretty sure she's a very beautiful woman. But men know that when women put on this makeup, this face, these things that enhance her features, it brings a certain kind of spirit. And that spirit is usually a spirit of pride. It's a spirit of ego. And we want to see you in your true form. Your true form being the way you look physically, and your true form the way you act emotionally and spiritually. We, like in the Bible, it always talked about women who were humble being the most attractive to men. The women who were the most sexy to men were the women who were humble. I can't remember the scripture, okay? So forgive me for this. But I believe, I can't remember the lady's name. And for those people out there who are in the Bible like this, please put it in the comments. But there was a woman, and I think it was Ruth. It was Ruth. There we go. And I think it was Ruth's mom that told her to go to the foot of the bed of this man. I think he had money or whatever. And she sat there for hours until he woke up. May even made him food or something like that. I can't remember. But it wasn't that she was waiting hand and foot on this man. It was the fact that she was humble. She was tentative enough. And as a man, when you see something like that, you don't want a woman to work. You don't want a woman to be on her hands and knees. You don't want that. But that she is willing to do it, that shows the love and admiration that she has for you. I'll give you another example. Jesus washing the feet I think of just like random people. Maybe it was even his disciples too. The literal Messiah, the King of Kings, washing and scrubbing the feet of mere mortal men. Now, if Jesus can be humble so that we can understand his true form, his true spirit, then why can we not follow the example of God? To follow the example of God is to actually get the things that you want. Let's keep going though.
Do you look at a man different for male enhancements?
Absolutely. And I'm wrong for that.
Okay.
At least she admits the double standard.
It's wrong as hell.
Okay.
But I be like, damn,
it's a
little
double.
BL, nigga. Like, I don't want to be.
Little lipo.
Little lipo.
Like I don't agree with any of the lipo or any of that stuff for men. I just think it's crazy too. So I get what she's saying, but it is a double standard. Let's keep going though.
We'll give somebody a nickname. They go Little lipo.
Little lipo.
What up, Craig? Little lipo.
I don't even want to hear his raps after that. I'm like, damn. And that's wrong. I did not say that is right. It is absolutely
It's a double,
wrong.
it's a big double
But I
standard.
can't help what triggers the inside or maybe how it is. I don't want to feel that way, but I feel like once you get lipo, once again, I run the relationship. I run everything. I'm the man.
Here it is. And you see, shouts out to Cam Newton, by the way, too, because I love the way he draws his guest into just a simple, natural conversation and allow them to be open and feel comfortable to have a conversation like they weren't in front of cameras. So shouts out to him for that. But the other thing too is I want y'all to look at his face. Look at that man's face. You know, let's go back. I want you to hear what she said that made him look that way. Let's get it.
But I feel like once you get lipo, once again, I run the relationship. I run the relationship. So what does that sound like to a man? It sounds like to me, and man, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like to me that was never the man for you. It was never the man for you. Because if you feel like at that point, because he got lipo or whatever the case, whatever he did, you didn't respect him. You didn't respect him. Because your respect for that man was contingent on the things that you were okay with him doing and not doing. And if you couldn't respect that man and have that love and admiration for whatever he decided to do with his body, we have that same love and admiration for you, right? You want us to have that same love and admiration for you, then it wasn't the man for you. Okay. And it's even worse for men and women that are in relationships like that. That's where the vetting process comes in. And just I'm gonna end this real quick, this talk, and I'm gonna let him finish. But the biggest or the most difficult thing for a man and a woman in the vetting process is seeing a red flag and acting on it. Okay? Having the information and acting on the information is a completely different thing. And I think men and women, a lot of times we see red flags, we see things that we are not going to put up with, but we end up putting up with them anyway because we look at the flesh, we look at, the other qualities that we may like, or they may talk, or they may cook, whatever it was. And then we go, oh, we can deal with that. No, we can't. And it's going to rear its ugly head in the next 2 to 3 years. And now you look up and you waste time. Okay. That's another thing, ladies. If a man, because this is rare too, if a man comes to you and you're dating him and you're in a relationship or you're getting to know each other, and a man sees something in you that he doesn't necessarily like,
and he's like, you know what, I'm sorry, I just think this isn't gonna work, and you're really liking that man, or you just feel disrespected because how dare he turn you down, right? Count your blessings. Okay, because he recognized that you were not for him, and most likely he was not for you. So either there needs to be some changes within you so you can actually find the man that you're looking for, or it was just a blessing and you guys were not for each other. With that being said, let's let her continue. Let's keep going.
I'm the man. No BBLs. I can't look at you, so you're not a gangster to me after the BBL.
Well,
Not gay.
there has been definitely a
Why do
shift,
you have
as you
to be
kind of
gangster?
mentioned, right, in body eras, right? I'm an 80s baby, so therefore
Yeah, me too.
I went through a situation where it was the titties, it was the breasts, right? The Playboy-esque body, the petite with the bangers.
What I got now?
Yeah.
Look, back in high school, there was a girl. I think we were, in love with each other. Okay, and I remember just a small little butt, boobs, little bit. We called them the itty bitty titty. I'm telling too much. We called it the itty bitty titty committee. Okay, that was fine. Okay, pretty face. It was more about the way you interacted with that person. And for me, it was the humbleness. For me, it was the affection, the love. Just it's hard to get those things these days. And if you have it, be grateful and hold on to it as long as you can. Because once it's gone, it is hard to get back. Once it's gone, it is extremely hard to get back. Some people may have glimpses of that. You may even be lucky enough to get a second chance at it, like I did. And if you do get that, count your blessings. Pray to God every day you wake up and thank Him, because that is extremely rare. It is. Let's let her keep going though.
Then you go through an era of shots, butt shots.
Yeah.
Then it was everybody's trying to get the perfect J-Lo body, the perfect Kim K body, the perfect Beyonce body. And not to say that any of them have ever went under the needle, I'm not assuming, but this was the staple of what people's bodies was trying to be.
Yeah.
Now,
For what? I don't know.
those eras have now shifted to going back to natural, going back to petite, going back to skinny.
Yeah.
What happened to just the desire of enjoying the journey in the gym?
I'm about to go to no damn gym. That shit is tired. That shit is draining. I be hungry. I be hurting. I'm about to go to no damn gym. Everybody want quick results, like microwaves, like microwave generation. Even in January, I had worked out 2 months.
And that speaks to the character of the person as well. Look, there's not too much I wanted to display in this video that we haven't already covered. I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate the men, all the 2 and 3 women that actually watch this. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna try to upload more as we go. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, of course hit that notification bell. YouTube actually says that if you like this video and you enjoy this video, if you actually watch another one of my videos here, it will increase the algorithm and all that good stuff. Look, I'm just gonna keep trying to dish out more content that you guys like and enjoy. Okay, so I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna be on my job, and hopefully you guys like it. With that, I just want to say peace and love, you guys. Respect. Men and women out there. I think we all can get to a point to where we can have these tough conversations. We can disagree, but we can all still love each other. Men and women, all alike. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you later. God bless. Peace. I really appreciate you guys for watching the video all the way through. But if you can do me a little itty bitty favor and hit that subscribe button, it would really help if you hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. So thank you in advance. Appreciate it.